Today, I wanted to talk about the number one thing I see registered dietitians and CNSs getting incorrect when they provide a patient with a Superbill. For those who don't know me, I am Amy Plano. I am the reimbursement dietitian, and I teach dietitians and CNSs just like you how to get credentialed, build the shit out of insurance, and make the money you deserve. And today, I wanted to talk about a topic and then dive into Superbills because I think this is an area that you guys are really struggling with. So I've helped thousands of dietitians grow and scale their practices. I've also witnessed thousands of mistakes on Superbills and out-of-network billing. So by the end of this video, you guys will be able to navigate out-of-network billing, and I'm going to take you through 4 different options for billing out-of-network claims. So let's get to it because this topic is really juicy. So first things first, what is out-of-network insurance billing? Out-of-network insurance billing means you, as the provider, as the dietitian CNS, are not in network as a participating provider with the patient's insurance company. So you do not have a contract with this patient's insurance company. This could be intentional, right? Maybe you just didn't want to contract with that company. It could be unintentional, where you just can't get in network with that patient's contract. Or you might be in the waiting phase where you applied for a contract. The patient wants to see you before you have your contract, and instead you are considered out of network. Or maybe you're just a dietitian or CNS who does not want to accept insurance. But those are the scenarios where you would be considered an out of network provider. So who can submit insurance claims, superbills, all of the things that we're going to describe today? Registered dietitians or CNSs, depending upon your state. Who cannot do out-of-network billing? And I think there's the confusion here. If you have an insurance contract with a particular payer, you have to submit claims on behalf of the patient. You cannot, in any shape or form, accept cash from the patient for the service of medical nutrition therapy. That does not mean if you're providing a la carte services, say you are providing services like metabolic testing, DEXA testing, GI, Dutch, all of those things, yes, you can totally collect cash from them. But if you're providing MNT, you have to be billing for those sessions. So who cannot submit superbills and participate out of network? Anybody who has a contract. So just being very clear with that, because sometimes I see you guys get confused. Say the patient doesn't have benefits, or maybe it's like a United Healthcare plan. Patient has an eating disorder. That claim is going to get pulled in under the medical side of the policy. So, in terms of that, the patient still actually has coverage. It's just going to pull into the deductible until the deductible is met. So you still have to submit for that particular patient. So, next I want to talk about, like I said, there's 4 ways you guys can be processing out-of-network claims. And I just want to make sure that you guys understand each one. I'm going to present them in the order in which I would prefer you guys proceed, meaning the first choice is going to be the easiest choice and the path of least resistance, where the last choice I'm only going to say is more for advanced dietitians and people who have been billing insurance for a long time. So first things first, what can you do if a patient comes to you and has out-of-network insurance you do not accept? So first things first, you can actually just take cash, right? So like can be a cash-based service. They pay you whatever your rate is for that particular service, and everybody goes on with their life, right? So just they submit cash before the service, you provide the service, probably send them an invoice, and everybody moves on. So that's the path of least resistance. The second option, also a path of least resistance, if an option, would be if the patient had something like a health savings account or a flexible spending account like HSAs or FSAs, where money is put either by the patient and or the employer onto a card that kind of looks like a Visa or a MasterCard, and the patient is able to use those for eligible services, MNT being one of them. Okay, so you would run that card in your credit card processor, often within your EMR or something like Square or something like Stripe. Obviously, you would have to set up as a healthcare provider or a medical provider on the back end with that processor, but that would be the second option if they had, right? Not everybody has a high deductible account. So if they did, often they will have these cards. You can run those for regular services. So first choice, just accept cash. Second choice, if they have an HSA or FSA, you can utilize that as long as you're set up as a provider. Number three would be giving them a Superbill. And this is where I want to spend some time talking about, because I feel like when you give somebody a Superbill, you have to be very mindful of many things. Okay. So a Superbill, if you need one, go over to reimbursementdietitian.com, go up to the resources section. You will see I have a downloadable one that you can use. And more often than not, your EMR will also have them too. But let's talk about Superbills and let's talk about the things I see you guys get wrong. So what I see you get wrong mostly with a Superbill is that you always just slap a super generic code on everybody's Superbill, like Z71.3. So things you need to be very mindful of when you are doing Superbills. Number one, it has to follow the exact same coding we would use if we were submitting that claim as an in-network provider. So CPT codes need to be on there. Appropriate ICD-10 codes. So say it's like a UHC plan, right? We know they're not going to take Z71.3. So go get my cheat sheet so you know how to bill it. Place of service, and then any modifiers that are applicable for that claim. So essentially, it's like you're pretty much doing the exact same thing because you have to be mindful of how to bill and code for that. I see a lot of you guys missing things like place of service. I see a lot of you guys missing things like, the appropriate ICD-10 code, right? So once again, just to be very clear, whatever code you put on the Superbill, if it's anything aside from a Z code, which some insurance companies will require, then you do need documentation from somebody who can diagnose, right? You don't necessarily need a referral, but say you're seeing a patient for an eating disorder, you can't just slap an F code on the Superbill. You have to make sure you have that documented. And then in terms of out-of-network coverage, I want to be very clear. Many insurance companies will discourage their patients from seeing out-of-network providers. And so what that means is your patient may have a out-of-network deductible that needs to be met before anybody is paid for the services. So the way a Superbill works, as you guys know, is that the patient pays you for the service. You put the service on the Superbill with the amount that they gave you. And then, like I said, the invoice is in exchange for their money, right? Like we don't Superbill a patient and then collect the money. We collect the money from the patient. We give them a Superbill, and then the patient takes the Superbill probably over to their insurance portal and uploads it and does all things on their end, and you do nothing, right? You're just basically giving them an invoice for those services. But like I said, even if patients have out-of-network coverage, a lot of times there's the deductible that needs to be met. I think on my plan, I have like an Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. I think I have like an $8,000 deductible. Once again, the goal there is to steer me to see in-network providers with Blue Cross Blue Shield in Connecticut, right? So that makes sense, right? But like I said, that's why often a patient can log into their portal to see what their out-of-network coverage is. It's pretty easy to do, at least on the Anthem plans. But once again, you are not responsible. The fourth choice is my least favorite choice because it assumes a lot of responsibility on your end. Is not only just, so essentially you can submit the claim even if you're out of network to the insurance company. So say you're using something like Office Ally, you can literally just add in their payer and then do a claim to the insurance company as if you were in network with them. You would probably want to collect the money first from the patient, and then in the box where it says accepts assignment, if you click no, then the insurance company, if they are going to process the claim, will send the money directly to the patient, right? So once again, I probably, even if you're submitting for them, I would probably collect the money up front and then submit the claim for them. Okay, so that way you're not chasing your money, because being an out-of-network provider takes all responsibility off of you and puts all responsibility on the patient for understanding what their out-of-network benefits are and giving them the responsibility historically for going to process those. Like I said, the fourth choice, running a claim for them through your EMR or your clearinghouse, to me seems to take on the most amount of risk, because it seems as if you're kind of pretending as if you are in network for that patient, right? I just feel like as soon as you submit for them, it seems like it seems, I know it's not, but the responsibility goes back on you in that particular scenario. So that's why my favorite choice is they just give you cash and you need to do nothing. So let's just recap those so you guys understand there's 4 ways you can proceed with out-of-network claims. Patient can just give you cash for the service. If they have a high deductible account, they might have an HSA or an FSA. You guys would run that just like a credit card. Third choice is you give them a Superbill after they pay you, and make sure on the Superbill you are providing the exact same information as if you were trying to process a claim. So you have to know, you have to have, number 1, documented codes if you're going to use something aside from a Z code. And number 2, right, you need to know what is required from each of the insurance companies. If you need that information, go over to my cheat sheet. It's always updated with that information. And number 4, my least favorite choice, but if you're super proficient, like my practice, we're generally not out of network for somebody, but you can also just submit in your, through your payer portal. I'm sorry, not your payer portal, through your EMR, your clearinghouse, as if this patient was in network. You would just add that payer. In certain EMRs, it may be more challenging because, say, like in Simple Practice, you have to be enrolled with this payer, and it can take some time for that to go through. So that's why this is generally easiest if you're billing through something like Office Ally, because you can just interface and add in additional payers. With that being said, if that payer is on par, say in Office Ally, you may get hit with a $45 fee. So once again, that's why number 4 is my least favorite option. So in conclusion, you guys need to know how to bill each insurance company if you intend to bill for them or provide them a Superbill. If you accept cash just, for their visit, or they use their HSA, FSA, you don't need to worry about billing and coding because that is off the table. But with that being said, if, a lot of times patients don't want to do any of this BS, and they certainly don't want to open up their pocket when they pay a super high premium for their health insurance. So if you don't submit for them or give them a Superbill, they may be more likely to go to a registered dietitian or CNS who accepts their insurance because they pay a boatload for their insurance. So I'm hopeful this video helped. I would love nothing more if you thought it was helpful, if you subscribe to this, because I release videos just like this every week, and share this with another dietitian or CNS who you feel might be struggling and not understanding why their out-of-network claims might not be getting paid for the patient, or they just might not understand the nuances. So once again, Amy P, Reimbursement Dietitian, here to always help you guys get credentialed, build a shit out of insurance, and make the money you deserve. Till next time, friends.